best offensive player out. And just as importantly, what it leaves you with then is the challenge.
We'll go next to Murat Atesh from The Athletic. Go ahead, Murat.
Thanks, Gregor. Hi, Paul. Same thing I asked your players. Do you take any solace? I know it's super, super fresh, but do you take solace in having given fans in Winnipeg and the community something to look at and cheer for at what's been a tough time?
It's such a special place, Winnipeg, and unfortunately, we weren't able to kind of do that together to enjoy playoff hockey and then enjoy a playoff win at home, because the players need that, right? We need that feedback for energy, and even in the building tonight with the number of people they had in it, there was an energy there, and you kind of feel like you missed out on it a little bit. So. It's probably only I think it's the second time in franchise history they got out of the first rounds, and you want to share that with your fans. We have such a fantastic home building, and the crowd it's different there, I think, than anywhere else. So you feel like you missed out on something, but I would imagine there's been a tremendous amount of sacrifice for a lot of people over the last year and a half. But it would have been nice to give something back. And to have the crowd, it's not just the Jets players or the coaches, it's the fans too. It's painful loss. It's a painful thing to go through. So you like to have the other side of it happen too when something good happens, and we missed that.
We'll go next to Jason Bell from the Winnipeg Free Press. Go ahead, Jason.
Thanks, Gregor. Paul, it's a rare situation that your club finds itself in, having played 8 playoff games. You sweep and then you're swept. It's unique, and but as I say, Murat said, it's still raw for you. But what are your takeaways from a situation like that?
Yeah, Jason, it's God. I'd like to give you a good answer to a solid question. It was extreme, right? Which was the case of the year. It was the story of the year. This was extreme. All these things that you'd never faced before. We played an NHL season without fans in the building. We played an NHL season with a road game in our time zone. There's a whole lot of things that we've never dealt with before. And you roll through 4 games against a team with the 2 best scorers in the league, and you like the defensive game, and then you get beat 4 straight times. They were good, and they were better than we were in this series, and they deserve to win.
We'll go next to Mike McIntyre from the Free Press. Go ahead, Mike.
Gregor, and evening, Paul. Those of us who cover your team, we've seen many games like this tonight, not just this season, over many seasons, where you guys win games like this. This is kind of the Winnipeg way at times. But to maybe some observers, they'd look at the shot clock and say, my goodness, that was a complete one-sided effort. Did it feel like that to you?
A bit. I wouldn't agree with the first part of it. I think they were honest. So one of the things that's unusual that we went through is this back-to-back, and different teams. But I think the back-to-back in the playoffs favors the team that won, and they were honest tonight. I mean, I don't think the shot clock was particularly accurate at times, but I'm not saying that it was close. They were better than we were tonight, and you get down 3 like Edmonton did. You lose a game in overtime. They got us to triple overtime. We got it for triple minutes, I guess. But I think you saw a team that had spent what it had to spend and was hanging on in this game tonight. And it wasn't from a lack of character or a lack of will, but we were behind it, and that was obvious in the game. But I don't think at all with our team. I mean, it's a good team, and it's going to get better. Like it's just coming into its prime. So I don't feel that we saw this game happen very much at all in recent memory.
Go next to Sean Reynolds from Sportsnet. Go ahead, Sean.
Paul, I think about talking with you throughout the year or in situations like this, and whenever you talked about the Montreal Canadiens, it seemed clear to me that there was a real deep respect for that team from you and how they played in the style. And you seem to recognize the danger of that style. It is what we saw in this series exactly what you knew they were capable of. And I remember at the beginning of the series, you talked about them, whichever team got to their identity first was going to succeed. Is this a case that they got to theirs and you didn't get to yours?
So I would agree with that completely, that in this, they were as good as I've seen them be in the game that they played. And it started 3 games into the last 3 games of the Toronto series. You're watching it and I know there's all the consternation from Toronto that they didn't win that, but when you're watching those last 3 games, you know that they're getting to where they need to get to. And then they had the addition of their goalie, right? Carey Price got to that elite level that he's at. That combination, and then in truth, that combination versus us in terms of style is a big challenge for us, right? So they're not looking to trade at all, and in doing so, they created their forecheck very, very quick on RD, and that was a place that we struggled with clearly. And then they would have those top 4 guys minus tonight that made it very difficult to get to the net. So it was a tough match, which I still think we had a chance to win, but I think it would have been difficult. You lost Mark. That was a difficult problem.
We'll go next to Carter Brooks from Game On. Go ahead, Carter.
Hey, Coach. We've seen a significant season of growth from Logan Stanley. Can you touch on how you saw him develop as a player, not only the season, but again, the postseason, and then with reference to tonight's game?
Yeah, so Logan is this kind of interesting first-round pick that's unlike what we had gone through over 3 or 4 years when we drafted these young guys. They played forward for us, and off they went. But he developed in the minors. He got better there. The pause was good for him in that it gave him a chance to almost catch up to his body, if you will. I mean, a man that size, it takes them a while to get the agility and the conditioning and all those things to drive that big body. And we felt like during the year when he went in, there were a number of the 2 goals that he scored tonight. If you look at the goals that he scored, he's not bouncing them in off ankles. He's picking corners. We think that's there with him. And this playoff, the playoff games that he played will be so important for his development because he's physically there. And then now he has an understanding of the next level. So this was a really good draft pick for us that took the appropriate amount of time to develop. It's just not a lot of big men that can move and shoot the puck. So he's going to be a good one for a long time.
We'll go next to Murat Atesh from The Athletic. Go ahead, Murat.
Thanks, Gregor. Hi, Paul. I wanted to ask an on-ice question as well. I mean, I saw a stat go around from one of the publicly made expected goal sites saying this was one of the most lopsided series ever. Heading into overtime, the broadcast showed a zone time. I think that was 39-17 in favor of Montreal. And you see the rims around both D. They're picking up their own dumps.
I lost you there.
You're fading out.
Fortunately, I lost you toward the end of that.
Hi, hello.
Yeah, you're back.
Thanks. Apologies. Maybe it was.
You don't have to apologize for that. You could.
I was just going with Montreal picking up its own dump-ins and things like that too, just to give kind of an I version to support this. And I mean, you guys don't have Mark Scheifele, but they don't have a Mark Scheifele either. And I'm wondering, just where this comes from and if it feels underwhelming to you now to look at it.
Sure.
Final question to Guillaume Lafrancois from La Presse. Go ahead, Guillaume.
Hi, Paul. In Mark's absence, were you hoping that Pierre-Luc would maybe take a bigger step to fill? I know those are big shoes to fill, but were you expecting maybe a little more during the series?
I think part of the growth of this young man, this year will be his most important year to get him to the next level, and I got lots of confidence he's going to get there.
Thanks very much.